From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, April the 26th, 2022. Israel's National Security Advisor Eyal Hulata met yesterday with U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in Washington. The White House wrote Mr. Sullivan emphasized that the United States is attuned to Israel's concerns about threats to its security, including first and foremost from Iran and Iranian-backed proxies. The two agreed, the White House said, to continue coordination through the USIsrael Strategic consultative group. The two also discussed Russia's war on Ukraine and the need, the White House wrote, to continue supporting our Ukrainian partners. And reports today that Israel took part in a summit on providing Ukraine with more weapons, hosted by the U.S. today at the Ramstein Air Base in Germany. As we reported to you last week, Israel's Defense Minister Benny Gantz announced the approval of protective equipment like helmets and flak jackets for the Ukrainian rescue forces and civilian organizations. Israel police seized weapons suspected to have been meant to use in terror attacks against Israel. The IDF shared video today showing they wrote two suspects spotted by our soldiers approaching Israel from Lebanon along the Blue Line yesterday. They were attempting to smuggle two weapons and approximately 100 grenades into Israel. The suspects apparently dropped the bag of weapons by the border, which was soon confiscated by Israeli security forces. It is unclear whether the smuggling attempt was being conducted by Lebanese-based Iranian-backed terror group Hezbollah or another body. Well, security around Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett is being increased after the receipt of a letter addressed to Bennett and his family, which included death threats and a bullet. Bennett responded to the incident saying that political conflict, no matter how deep it is, should not reach violence, bullying, and death threats. We are all people. Arguments and disagreements, yes. Bullying and threats, no. Benny Gantz said the threats to Bennett crossed a red line. Even in days of severe disagreement, he tweeted, we all have a duty to remember that our unity and resilience are the basis of our power. And Gantz hosted a celebratory Iftar dinner last night, the traditional meal held after daily fasting during the holy Muslim month of Ramadan. With, Gantz tweeted, the ambassadors and diplomatic staff of neighboring countries with which Israel has peace accords, including from Morocco, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt. Gantz tweeted, I briefed the ambassadors about recent events and security tensions, referring to the violent Palestinian riots at the Temple Mount. I told them, he said, that Israel values freedom of worship and will do everything in our capacity to enable it, while working against an extremist group, the minority, which aims to harm it. Gantz spoke, he wrote, about our tremendous ties, which contribute to regional peace and stability. The Anti-Defamation League has released its audit of anti-Semitic incidents of 2021. The ADL wrote that it tabulated 2,717 anti-Semitic incidents throughout the U.S. last year, a 34% increase from the previous year and the highest number on record since ADL began tracking anti-Semitic incidents back in 1979. The ADL noted the surge of incidents in May of 2021 coincided with the conflict between Israel and Hamas. During that period, if you recall, there were a number of brazen, physical, and verbal assaults on Jews by Palestinians and pro-Palestinian activists, including outside a restaurant in Los Angeles and on the streets of New York City. And New York had the highest amounts of incidents last year at 416, followed by New Jersey with 370, and then with California at 367. CEO Jonathan Greenblatt tweeted, we need to take action to combat all anti-Semitic hate. Sharing the facts is the first step. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, April the 26th at 7 o'clock. Rabbi Ammiel Hirsch explores the centrality of Tikkun Olam, the Jewish obligation to improve the world. At 7:30, it's the film The Messenger, which tells the story of Czech Torah scrolls saved after World War II. At 8, Mohammad Kabiya, Norah Alwadhi, and Bassem Eid talk about Israel's relationship with the Arab world and with Arab Israelis within Israel. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Marcus Sheff on L'chaim. At 10, an encore presentation of In the Spotlight with Abigail Pogrebin, who speaks to Rabbi Justin Pines about a new Yom Hashoah ritual known as Hitkansut, an experiential ceremony to memorialize the Holocaust. And coming up next, it's the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, April the 26th, 2022. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well.